This will hopefully be the very last time I talk about Dragon Age the Veilguard, but it is worth talking about as the usual suspects are a bit perturbed at its exclusion from the vast majority of the nominations in the Game Awards. So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and yes, if you haven't heard, there was one big snub in the Game Awards nominations, and look, I'm gonna say that we've all talked about how we don't care about the Game Awards, we don't value the Game Awards. Us actual gamers know that they are effectively bought and paid for. I mean, we saw all the individuals that are doing the nomination, doing the judging. I am surprised it didn't get nominated for anything except for like games for advancements in accessibility or whatever it was. But to be fair, I'm not gonna pretend to talk about the Game Awards, pretend to care about the Game Awards. I am gonna find it funny that the people that probably do care about the Game Awards are throwing a fit at Dragon Age's, again, perceived exclusion. So we're gonna get into this article from Polygon. Before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news almost every day. And there was one big snub in the Game Awards nominations. Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game engineered to succeed at the Game Awards, did not. Oh, we're starting off strong. You mean it was engineered to succeed?
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Yeah, so the Game Awards aren't known for much in the way of shock and surprise, and so it proved with the 2024 nominees. A fairly well-rounded list, and the most of the year's best reviewed and best loved games got some love. But there was one title very striking for its almost complete absence: Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, were you guys surprised it wasn't on there? Because admittedly, I was. When they say that it was, engineered to succeed at the Game Awards, I guess really they're not wrong if you look at it through the, game journalist, everything needs to meet our ideological, values lens. Because, yeah, a game like this you would think was made for, now, was BioWare specifically making this game for the awards ceremony to be recognized? I mean, maybe. I actually honestly doubt that. I think they're just a company that has been captured by ideology. They are not the BioWare we knew and have grown up with. They are now just a shadow of their former selves that happen to share the same name. And really, they were making a game for the X crowd, well, actually not even for the X crowd, for the Twitter crowd, for the people who back when it was still called Twitter ruled that space, and of course the Tumblr crowd, if Tumblr's even really still a thing, and those just happen to be the people that also seem to care about the Game Awards. The Game Awards voting jury snubbed BioWare's latest game in a series of key categories where it would have been expected to compete. It secured just one nomination for innovation and accessibility, which is decided by a specialist jury. I like how they put specialist and not special, because that's really what it means. And by the way, talking about where it should have been placed, hey, it should have been best RPG, hey, it should have been best action adventure, all these things. Well, no, it shouldn't have, because as much as we want to whine and cry and moan about modern games, 2024 was actually a pretty damn good year, and it should be, that's worth acknowledging. When you've got games like Stellar Blade and Helldivers 2 and Warhammer Space Marine, and when you've got Sonic Shadow Generations, and when you've got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, ReFantazio, when you've got all these games coming out that are legitimately good games, notice how we didn't really make videos decrying any of these games for wokeness or whatnot. Yeah, there was a pretty stiff competition across the board for pretty much every genre you can think of, with the exception of maybe horror. I think the only legitimate AAA horror game we got was Silent Hill 2, and let's be real, does that even count? It is just a remake. The point is, no, I actually don't think, even if, take the wokeness out of it aside, take the ideological stuff aside, there was actually stiff competition this year for games that are just that. They are good games. This is a surprise, as a narrative-led blockbuster in a famous series with slick production values, Dragon Age the Veilguard is exactly the kind of game that tends to do well at the Game Awards. Yes, but as many around the internet point out, this isn't a Dragon Age game at the end of the day. I mean, if anything, it's a reboot. And when you even got, people like the Gamer here, or Game Rant, the Gamer saying Dragon Age the Veilguard is that friend that's too woke, you have to remember, everyone was clamoring for Dragon Age the Veilguard in terms of these journalistic spaces. They were writing all the great articles, IGN giving it a 9. But then after about a week and a half, 2 weeks rolled by, the controversy was gone around the game. These outlets started sort of changing their tune and putting out some pretty negative things to say about the game, because it's just a mid-game at best. Again, when you take the ideological stuff out of it, It's just mid. It's incredibly, the decision-making options really aren't there. You only have the ability to affirm everyone. There's no bad guy routes. The choices don't matter. The combat is incredibly repetitive. The visuals are, in my opinion, absolute garbage. So, you're right. Narrative-led blockbusters are great for the Game Awards. This was not that, though. Dragon Age Veilguard is exactly the kind of game that tends to do well at the Game Awards. Its predecessor, Dragon Age Inquisition, which is considered by many fans to be the worst in the series prior to this one. Each Dragon Age game kind of got worse. Won the Game of the Year in TGA's inaugural year in 2014. Granted, the reception of Veilguard has been mixed, and with its Metacritic rating settling at 82, a nomination for Game of the Year seemed beyond its reach, even though that is 1 point higher than Black Myth Wukong, which did make the cut. They go out of their way to slander Black Myth Wukong in this article, but not just in this article. Remember, they also wrote this one literally the same day. Black Myth Wukong is one of the lowest rated Games of the Year nominees in Game Awards history. However, the game sold millions upon millions of copies for its target demographic, the Chinese, as well as everybody else all over the world that ended up buying it. So, yeah, let's be real. Clearly, there's far more of a market for one game than there was for the other. If you want to talk about how Dragon Age the Veilguard was a blockbuster, narrative-led game, why isn't it selling the world over? Why aren't people just absolutely eating it up? Instead, you got anti-woke streamers streaming it for kicks to an audience that also enjoys making fun of it. You've got people like Hypnotic's characters, Suicide McDuggans, that have become memes all over X. And no offense to this Hypno, but I think his character may actually be more famous than him at this point. Like, I've seen people that really, to my knowledge, have no association with Hypno sharing memes that have Suicide McDuggans in it, because that is the level that Dragon Age Veilguard is. It is not a blockbuster. It is a meme, and then these companies and these fake gamers can't get in on it because they can't wrap their head around it. They can't fully comprehend it. More tellingly, though, the Veilguard did not score nominations for Best Narrative or Best Performance, two areas where BioWare games tend to excel, which is less review dependent. So if it didn't get nominations for Best Narrative or Best Performance, is it so hard to believe that maybe there's just games out there that did it better? Why is this game existing, and why is it being a Dragon Age game mean it automatically should have qualified? Let's be... I know the reason for Polygon. Oh, the representation. Oh, look at the non-binary characters. Oh, look at everything it does for our queer agenda. They're not gonna say that, but that's what they want to say. So instead, they're trying to use, well, hey, these games have traditionally been very narrative-based, which do well. These games, it doesn't depend on the reviews. Well, first of all, Best Narrative, as we were talking about on Countercast yesterday, is very subjective. I mean, a good story is a good story. How do you really quantify that and compare it to other games? I mean, you could say the same thing about, Best Art Direction, which we did. Yeah, all the games nominated for Best Art Direction have great art, but they're also wildly different. How can you adequately, decide which one is the best, which should deserve the award, when it's something that's incredibly subjective? It also missed out on the Best Role-Playing Game. This was an exceptionally strong category this year. 3 of the 5 nominees, Metaphor ReFantazio, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, also secured nominations for Game of the Year, and the other two, Dragon's Dogma 2 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, are unconventionally excellent. Even so, failing to join this company is surely not the result that BioWare or publisher EA wanted after a decade of development. Maybe they shouldn't have spent a decade developing a game that gamers didn't want. A game that doesn't follow up on the story that ended with Dragon Age Inquisition. A game that also doesn't look like a Dragon Age game. I mean, there's so much we can say about what's wrong with this game. And even the Game Awards, as biased as they are, really couldn't run defense for it. I mean, if that doesn't crumble the narrative around how Veilguard did, then I don't know what does. We've got games like No Man's Sky being nominated, Best Community Support. No Man's Sky is a game that's been out for years, by the way, like 2017 or something like that, and because its community support is so well recognized as being top of the line, it is being nominated in 2024. Now, again, that's an ongoing game, so it makes sense. It's not about the fact that the game is from 2017. Just the point is, clearly, there are some games that are being recognized by the Game Awards that even if you don't take the Game Awards seriously, you've got some good picks up there. I'm actually not turning up my nose at a lot of the picks for the Game Awards just because, yeah, at least I can understand the rationale of their decisions. Whether they win or not, or whether they even got the nomination, doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. Did they make players happy? That's the question. Did they make players happy? And if they did make players happy, which a lot of these games did, like the ones I mentioned earlier, Well, then I guess that's all that actually matters. Were there any other snubs? And to be fair, I don't really care about any other snubs. I just found it absolutely hilarious that there was one big snub. And is it a big snub? Because even in your own article, you talk about how stiff the competition was for the RPG category, for example. Even in this article, you talk about how there's other games in the narrative-led games department that did it better. So a snub, first of all, we all thought Stellar Blade was going to get snubbed. We all thought Black Myth Wukong was going to get snubbed. Hell, Jeff Keighley himself literally made a tweet a couple days ago asking what games did you think were going to get snubbed at the Game Awards. Pretty much everybody unanimously said Black Myth Wukong. We did not think that game was going to get the accolades that it deserved, but it's being nominated for Game of the Year. Now, is it going to make Game of the Year? No, I'm real. No, I don't think so in the slightest. But the fact that it was even nominated was a massive shakeup. I think a lot of gamers, specifically those of us in this sort of like quasi anti-woke space or whatnot, had to sort of sit back and reevaluate, oh, maybe there are individuals that have some semblance of a head on their shoulders and know what gamers want to see. They're able to look at sales figures, they're able to look at reviews, but they're able to look at what was, actually happening in the public zeitgeist, the pulse of the American gamer, or really of the gamer worldwide, and say, yeah, if these games don't get nominated, they're gonna riot. And I guess that takes some level of self-awareness, which is far more than Polygon has to be calling Dragon Age a snub, when in all reality, this almost looks meritocracy-based. I'm so surprised to see. But, yeah, those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about what's going on in gaming, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos I go over on my Friday night live streams, and of course, get involved with over 140 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity of thought. That's interesting to you. Join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.